Now let's take a look at how the thyroid develops in our fetus stage. So as you know, there are three embryonic discs. The outermost layer, which develops into skin and nervous tissue, is called the ectoderm. Then we have the endoderm, which will eventually develop into the gut. And from there, we have the primitive pharynx, which will grow out into structures like this. It will have 6 pouches like this. These are called the pharyngeal arches. It is a derivative of the endoderm. So what that means is, the structure we are talking about right now is the thyroid gland. And the thyroid gland is a derivative of the endoderm. So let's look at this. Here we have the different pouches of the pharyngeal arch. And between pouch 1 and 2, there is an opening called the foramen cecum. So below that, the thyroglossal duct will form. The thyroid bud will form as the thyroglossal duct, and it will penetrate into the mesoderm. So it will go down, it will grow down like this. Here's our tongue, this is our tongue, and it will go down like this. It will go to the neck, and at the level of the first and the second tracheal rings, it will develop to grow at its end and form the thyroid gland. Now usually this thyroglossal duct, the duct that brought the thyroid gland to its location, it will degenerate. However, if it remains without being degenerated, it can be called the pyramidal lobe of the thyroid gland. And let's look at the degeneration process. So if the degeneration process occurs like this, the top part is degenerated now, the bottom part is degenerated, and the duct, it's a duct, remember, so part of it does not degenerate in the middle, so it will be a cystic duct. It will form a cyst which will be present on our neck anteriorly. So let's look at it like this. Let me erase the pathway marks. So it will come out like this as a cyst, and if fluid can accumulate there, it will lead to bulging out from the neck. The skin will bulge out like this. So this is a painless mass. Since there's no inflammation involved, it is a painless mass, and it will move with the tongue movement. And also, when it comes to neck masses, this thyroglossal neck mass is a midline mass. As you can see, the thyroglossal duct goes downwards, and if it does not degenerate properly, it will be present in the midline. There is another situation, another sinus. This is a sinus which is called persistent cervical sinus, which is found laterally. It is found on the lateral aspect of your neck. So now let's look at the other situation. Let's say the thyroid gland does not go all the way down, or the thyroglossal duct cannot go all the way down, and instead it forms here. The thyroid gland will form there. This is the most common location, that is on the tongue or just below the tongue, and this is called a lingual thyroid. Now, if this is removed by accident, hypothyroidism can occur if this is the only gland which was acting as the thyroid gland. Remember, this could be developing by itself over here, while there is another thyroid gland which is present in its normal location. But if this is the lingual thyroid is the only one remaining, it can lead to hypothyroidism. Next, let's look at the blood supply and the innervation to the thyroid gland. So first of all, we have our aorta. The first branch of it is the brachiocephalic trunk. The subclavian artery supplies the inferior thyroid artery, and the brachiocephalic trunk also divides into the common carotid artery, and that divides into two, as the internal carotid artery and the external carotid artery. The external carotid artery supplies the superior thyroid artery. So these are the blood supplies to the thyroid gland. Next, we have two major nerves. So the first one is the superior laryngeal nerve, and then we have the vagus nerve, which comes, and a branch of it goes across the ductus arteriosus and goes up. It goes up as the recurrent laryngeal nerve to innervate the thyroid gland. Please note that the blood supply and the innervation occurs in both sides. So on the other side, we have our subclavian, the left subclavian artery supplying the inferior thyroid artery on the left side, and then we have the common carotid, which divides into the external carotid on the left side, that will supply the left superior thyroid artery. The same for the two nerves, it's innervated in both sides.